was like, James is a funny dude, man. And I was like, I I've never heard of ticket. And when you came out there and you're like, you got shit tickets, I'm like, dude, I've never heard of that.
It goes. We've been busy.
Yeah, dude, look, this is unfiltered. I don't do any really edits through this whole thing. So if you got something to say it with your chest because it'll be out there. It don't matter.
Love it.
Yeah. So, well, Mr. James, I wanted to bring you on because I've never had a home inspector on here, but I think you could give some pretty good stuff about, what it's like to inspect people's homes and especially with people with maybe even first time home buyers. Like, what's some scary stuff that maybe you've seen that you're like, dude, this house is a piece of shit, and even if you fix it, it may not be the best, but if you want the house, go for it, kind of thing. But I'll kind of let you introduce yourself, dude. And again, this is not anything I've really promoted. I don't really promote much of this. I'm just kind of like getting a few episodes under my belt to kind of see how this all pans out. But if it grows big, it'd be cool. But anyways, I want people to see what it's like from the lens of a home inspector, what got you into it, and what all areas you service. So go for it, dude.
Absolutely, brother. So I'm James VanDerLinde. I am the owner of Journey Home Inspection Services here in Clarksville, Tennessee. So we are a full service home inspection company. And by that, I mean we schedule all of your inspections that you need. So if it's HVAC, termite, mold, air quality, lead-based paint, anything that you need, we can provide it along with the standard home inspection. And we've been doing it for about 3.5 years and absolutely love it. It's been a lot of fun, wild ride. But yeah, as far as where you're talking about wild things I've seen, there's many different things, but one thing that I really love to touch on is
Yep.
that people think that there is some big difference between the things that home inspectors are going to find on new construction
Mm,
versus existing construction or anything in between.
right.
I can tell you right now, I think just yesterday I did an inspection on new construction and found several major issues going on with it. Water intrusion issues in the crawl space. Some I had never seen. Actually saw the washing machine hookups behind the washing machine leaking in a way that I didn't even see them. But when I was downstairs, I was going through the house, and the doorbell had moisture staining coming off, and I'm like, "Well, I've never seen a doorbell leak."
Damn.
You know what I mean? I don't know if anybody's ever seen a doorbell leak before. So I was like, I don't think it's the doorbell leaking, right? And then I went a little farther down the hallway and there was a light switch with moisture staining on it. And I'm like,
Damn.
the light switches don't leak either, right? So I'm like, what is going on here? So second story above me, went up there right above where those were at.
Mm,
Looked behind the washing machine again, pulled the washing machine out a little bit, and there it was, moisture staining underneath of it, running all the way down. But yeah, it was just absolutely nuts, and we
damn.
see stuff like that every single day. There's no telling. It doesn't matter, new construction, old, 1800s houses, you name it. So
But that, dude, that's to be fair, man. That's actually very scary in the aspect of like, a lot of people ask me, especially a lot of first time home buyers, even on new construction, they were like, hey, is it even recommended because it's new construction? I'm like, look, dude, it's not my lane. It's optional, but I'm telling you right now, it'll favor you and you're better off just getting it because I was like, dude, it's humans building your house, man. It's human error.
mm-hmm.
Shit happens. And so I was like, it's up to you. I was like, if it were me, yeah, 100% I would. But I was like, that's your call. It's not a requirement from my side. It's totally up to you. But, I tell people again,
That's in
again,
every industry out there. Human error is a real thing.
yeah, yeah,
So anybody thinks that just because a company's got a really good reputation and this
yeah,
and that they can't make mistakes,
yep,
they're out there hiring people,
yeah.
you know. So human error is a real thing.
Oh,
Um,
dude, you ain't gotta tell me about that, man. I mean,
oh yeah,
and I mean, I have agents who want to, well, not agents, but a handful who want to burn me at the cross, man. And I'm like, look, dude, I did everything I could. I don't know what to tell you.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, and I
I,
mean, we've got the reputation. We've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of 5-star reviews on our page.
yeah, yeah,
Great reputation, everything else. We make mistakes. It
yeah,
happens. You
yeah,
know what I mean? Like, I hire humans,
yeah,
and humans make mistakes. I think the biggest thing is when you do make mistakes, no matter what industry you're in, I don't think it's whether or not somebody makes mistakes. Maybe if they're always making mistakes, it matters.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah,
if someone makes mistakes, that's acceptable. It's how they follow up on those mistakes and how they correct those mistakes.
yeah.
So, home inspectors have gotten this reputation of being like the boogeyman in all facets of real estate and construction. We're just the boogeyman, and to a certain degree, I don't even disagree with them.
It's good that you bring that up, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but it's good you bring that up because I actually prefer, I let a lot of clients know this that the home inspector is supposed to go like their job is to find something wrong with your house. It's not necessarily let me just breeze through here like the appraiser and just give you a value. The home inspector is really just trying to look out for your best interest. I mean, like, dude, even if it's like a booger on the wall, yeah, like, they're gonna look at it like, all right, well, that shouldn't be there, but we recommend to get this cleaned up or get this fixed. So I tell a lot of people, you may get like a laundry list of shit to do, but it's really there, even if they're so tiny to even something major. But again, it's at least you're trying to point out everything that you possibly see, but it's not to scare people. It's just to let people know, like,
Mhm.
here's what I see. So
And even if we come through a house and we don't find much,
yeah,
people are like, "Oh, well, wasted my money." Well, no, you didn't waste your money
yeah,
because that's holding us to our word that we told you
yeah,
that you didn't have any major issues on this house. So
yeah,
at the end of the day, if the home inspector did his job
yeah,
and he didn't find really anything on your house, and then
yeah,
something comes up down the road that he missed, well,
yeah,
now you have somebody to hold accountable. Especially on existing construction. On new construction, you have a builder's warranty, but
yeah, yeah,
but if you have a 1 year warranty and there's issues in the house that weren't found, and now
yeah,
your 1 year warranty's up, most of these things take time
yeah,
to become visible. And once
yeah,
they become visible, it's a much bigger issue.
yeah,
So now back to the boogeyman thing, I will say I don't blame people
yeah,
for that, and it's not even just the fact that our stance and where we come into the process and what our job is that
yeah,
made us have that reputation. It's really the way that home inspectors as a whole conduct themselves, and
yeah,
the way that they do inspect and the way that they communicate has
yeah,
kind of created that because there is a way, and I think that I've figured it out for the most part that we can actually be an asset to every single party
mhm,
without doing favors and hookups and
sure,
illegal stuff.
yeah,
So it all goes back to communication, though,
right,
which again goes back to every single industry. But I don't know why home inspectors haven't figured out that if you just communicate more and in the right way, you
yeah,
can almost change the reputation to where it's like, hey, let's talk about a builder, right?
yeah,
Because builders hate us more than anybody. So when you're talking about builders, if a
yeah,
home inspector comes in and finds legit issues that are legitimate
yeah,
and doesn't communicate them in a way that it scares everybody and gets and is burning deals and everything else, it's like, hey, we're glad you found that stuff so we can fix it and get it taken care of,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
But we're also not writing up a bunch of dumb shit or making stuff seem way worse than it actually is. Maybe it is a really simple repair, definitely to get taken care of, but it's
yeah,
easily correctable. And then if the builder and the home inspector and the agent all work together to get this thing at the end of the pipeline to
yeah.
where it's a good investment, no harm, no foul. But it all goes back to communication. And I think that's the piece that's really, really missing in the home inspection industry.
Well, and I think that's truth be told, man. I think it's no matter what part of this whole transaction is it's communication is key for everybody. And even with me. when I have to talk to the listing side, which again, we do that as a as a luxury kind of thing, right? But it's how we made our name. We're great with communicating, whether it's good news or bad news, right? It's always to like James here in the office, our James, not you, James, our James in the office says, hey, you got to eat the frog. Like it's going to suck, but you just need to rip it off like a band-aid because it's better to go ahead and let everybody know, like if something's going to happen, let everybody know. So it's out of the way, and then like it's much easier to for people to comprehend that instead of just hiding, ghosting everybody, avoiding the conversation. Because at the end of the day, when people don't know what's going on, they start to come up with stuff in their head. They start coming up with scenarios in their head, and then that's where that anger and the frustration starts to build. When again, even they may be upset with you at the time, they may not like what you have to say, but at least they know. I think
Mhm.
them knowing is what helps ease a lot of it.
100%,
Um,
man. And it's any problem you let go,
yeah,
and you don't just. I mean, that's in life. That's
yeah,
in your marriage. That's in your
yeah,
friendships. That's in your business. That's in your job.
yeah,
Whatever that looks like. Any problem you let linger
yeah.
just gets worse,
It
right?
does.
You
Yeah,
leave it on somebody's mind like that, or leave the situation going, and people start to pick up on it. They feel uncomfortable, and
yeah,
so communication is key. Fast, quick,
yeah,
concise communication is key.
hmm,
And to that point of just leaving people in the dark and to look at these different things and conjure up their own ideas of what's going on.
yeah,
I mean, we've even implemented in our processes, and I'm kind of giving away a little bit of my secrets here, but we don't submit reports before 5 or after 5 p.m. or before 7 a.m. Because if we submit a report and then we go ghost the whole rest of the night,
yeah,
right? And we're with our families,
hmm,
agents are with their families. These people are now just sitting at home, and now they're going to have a whole night of sleep and the whole next morning to think up of. I submitted this report. They saw all the defects, and
hmm,
they got all night to think of how bad it is and how awful this is, and they don't even
yeah,
know what they're talking about. And no offense to anybody, but they just
yeah,
don't. And
yeah,
so they're like, "Oh, the structural this and that and everything and blah blah blah." And if we just had the opportunity to get them on the phone
yeah,
before they had the opportunity to think all those things because we were able to communicate it,
yeah,
totally different picture in their mind, and they're a lot more at ease and
yeah,
everything's good. And so, we submit it at 7 a.m. in the morning. If we don't get it before 5, immediately text them for a follow up, get them on the phone. Hey, these are your defects. This is your problems. This is what it is. This is what it's not, everything else. And I just think if people went that extra mile to
yeah,
communicate in everything, the whole
hmm,
world would be a lot better. So,
yeah. No, no, no. I think that's a very fair statement, man. And kind of going back to your point, it's one of those things too, man. Especially for us, like we try to stay in our lane. There's a lot of the times, nothing against agents, man, but they do pick up on the tendency to start drifting in to people's lanes. But again, that's where it comes into even in your profession. I've seen agents talk to their buyers like, oh, well, that's a big concern. You need to fix that, and it's just like, well, like, or maybe we could talk to the home inspector if they'll,
mhm,
get a feel and like again communicate with them and saying, hey, yes, I think it should be replaced. Is it major? Maybe not major, but I would highly recommend to get it placed. But it shouldn't be like a deal killer per se, right?
mhm,
But again, a lot of agents like to play home inspector when they see the report. And again, it's just, I think when and a lot of the agents I work with, man, it's easier because a lot of them know like they know enough about my side, they know enough about your side, they know enough not to get them in trouble. They can speak a little bit on it, but then when it starts going into depth, then they're like, okay, well, I don't know, but we need to get James involved, or hey, we need to get Daniel involved, so we all have
mhm.
a better idea. So no, I agree, man. Communication is probably the biggest thing in again, like in life, but especially in any kind of real estate transaction.
And the right amount of
Um,
communication. There's too much.
Yeah, yeah. So what about let me ask you this, okay? What is okay in your opinion, all right? And maybe this is a subjective question, and maybe it's a very open-ended question, but if you are going through, let's say an existing house, okay? Existing, so not new construction, and let's just say it's within a 10-year window, like meaning it's at least 10 years old or newer. Okay. What is a big concern that you would say, like, yo, I don't know if this is going to be. Have you ever told a buyer that this house is not good?
Nope, can't do it. Because
Okay.
here's the thing,
Okay.
and I've really trained my guys on this and talked
Okay.
to them a lot about that. So it's just like any. I mean, you. Let's talk about collector's cars, right?
Yep.
Let's say we got an old, I don't know what's an old Mustang
Yep.
that in mint condition
Yep.
would be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, right?
Sure.
But it was on the road all the time, it was beat up, everything else, and in most people's minds, like it's definitely not worth much.
Okay.
Beat up, everything else. Depending on the buyer, depending on his abilities, depending on his prowess and what he can do,
Right.
and who you're talking about in his life situation, it might be worth more to that guy
Sure.
because he can refurb a whole car. He can
Right.
rebuild an engine. He can do all that stuff and bring it back to life, right? So to him, it might be worth more money because it's super rare. You can't find that chassis. You can't find whatever, somebody's
Right.
part, right? Whatever. So go back to houses now. We look at a house and it's got some major problems,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
But this buyer has a uncle who does structural work. He'll do it for free, right?
Yep.
Or they got different family members that are GCs or whatever, right?
Mhm.
And so they're buying on the price point. They're buying on the deal they can get because they know they got people that can fix it. So you don't know someone's situation. You don't know
Right.
why they're targeting this house. They might be totally loaded and they're buying a house that just and you're looking at it and you're like, why are you buying this, right? But
Yeah. Yeah.
again, you don't know their situation, and
Yep.
even if that didn't even factor in, home inspectors are just educators.
Right.
We say, here's the information, here it is, I'm giving it to you, I'm going to get you on the phone, I'm going to give you context, everything else, paint the picture for you, and then you make the decision. Because again, I've gone into houses that were so outdated. If you were gonna remodel this house and bring it up to current trends and
Mhm.
just remodel the inside of it, new appliances, new everything, it costs thousands of dollars.
Right.
And in your mind, you're like, this is just not like it's just not a good house. They haven't touched this since the 70s.
Right.
I had a buyer. I'm not kidding you. The reason they wanted to buy the house so badly is because it looked like it hadn't been touched since the 70s. The carpet, the trim, the appliances were lightly used, and they were appliances from the 70s, right? There was a couple
Shit.
issues with them, but whatever. But they wanted everything to be from the 70s. So to you and me, that house is a dump. It's right. It's no
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
To someone else, depending on all these different factors and what they want, what they like, how much money they have to spend, there's no
Yeah.
way of knowing. So
Yeah.
we just come in, we educate, we give them the information as it really is. And yeah, maybe it has some structural problems, but maybe, and me not carrying a license to repair that stuff,
Right.
someone comes in and evaluates and it looks way worse than it actually is. And I've
Right.
ran into that before, right? And then so maybe a $4,000 or $5,000 repair bill on a structural thing, if you're looking at it just from the perspective of a home inspection and what you're seeing in
Right.
that tiny little lens,
Mhm.
might look like horrible because $5,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
But if the agent got them, I don't know, $30,000 below asking and all these concessions and all this other, whatever, or
Mhm.
credits or whatever the case may be,
Yeah.
maybe that's not a big bill,
Yeah.
right? So you don't know. You just come in and you just say, hey, this is the information. You do with this information as you are. This is more of a severe problem. This is more of a minor problem. And that's it.
Yeah. Okay. No, that makes good sense. So what about if you had to So what about hypothetically, right? If even if a buyer asked you your personal opinion, you're still not going to give them saying like,
I
"Hey,
won't
I
give it.
can't do it," right?
I won't
Okay.
give it.
So then what is the I know you said that was the craziest thing. It was, but the water leaking out the doorbell, the light fixtures and the light
Well,
switch.
and that's just recently the
Yeah.
craziest thing. But
So so what okay, so I want to kind of get it. What's the nastiest thing that you've ever seen while being a
nastiest, nasty and crazy and home inspecting are two different words, right?
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Nastiest, we had a sewer pipe
Oh my
that
God.
was completely disconnected in the crawl space. I don't know if the plumber just didn't glue it or what
Yeah.
happened or somebody hit. I don't know what happened, but it become disconnected about an inch. And and no one had been down there for a long time, and all the sewage in the crawl space had been dumping in
Oh,
there for who
brother.
knows how long, right?
Oh,
Disgusting, absolutely disgusting. And like I'm in the crawl space going through it. I'm like 3/4 of the way through it. I get to the back side. Thank God I have a respirator on.
yeah.
But the back quarter of it was just sludge, just disgusting sewage
Oh,
sludge. It was just
you know what?
awful.
See, and I think stuff like that, man, would be a really good like story to tell people when they're asking about home inspectors. I'm like, look, dude, it's either I go down there in the shit or you go down there. Why don't I
Mm-hmm.
just do it just so you don't have to do it, kind of thing? Because,
Mm-hmm.
like, again, you ask the average homeowner, do you want to go to a crawl space full of shit? They're going to say no. Like, 100%. They're going to say no. So it's
Yeah,
like, all right, well,
I mean, I don't want to.
you don't want to, but
If I'd have known it was full of shit, I wouldn't have took the job. Probably ain't worth it.
oh, dude, that's so gross, man. That is so gross.
Yeah, yeah.
So, what? I guess let me ask you this then: what really got you into the industry? Like, what made you become a home inspector?
Um, really opportunity.
Okay,
And I people laugh at me when I say this.
yeah,
I don't like home inspecting. I don't like it at all.
but I think it's a job it's a necessity.
Yeah. So someone once told me
Mm,
they said other people's problems are where your money is,
I like that.
and so you find a need,
Yep.
and then you find the solution to said need or problem,
Right.
and people will pay you to solve that problem for them, right?
Right.
So for a while, I retired medically retired from the military after 12 years. Didn't want to retire, but kind of got forced into it.
Mm,
And I had done it since I was 17. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I liked. I didn't even know what I was good at other than kicking indoors and everything comes with being an infantryman in the army,
right.
right? So like, oh my gosh. All I remembered was that when I was in high school, I was in a career school. I did CAD drafting to be an architect for a little bit, some construction stuff.
Mm,
And I knew that was the field that I had interest in and enjoyed to some degree.
right.
So I went job hunting to figure out what I could get into. I got into construction sales first. I was really, really good at sales, but I hated sales. I hated, maybe it was the company, maybe it was the job. I don't know, but I just had a bad taste in my mouth for that for many different reasons. And I was like, not for me. But I learned a lot. Sales
Right.
taught me a lot, which then I didn't know would help me in business more than any job I had probably ever had.
Mm,
Um, then I went into construction management, enjoyed the job, enjoyed the construction side of it. Didn't like, again, could be the company, could be the job. I don't know. I didn't like the fact that I had all these great ideas that could help this company be better and could do all this other stuff. But everybody kept telling me, like, that's not the way we do it. Blah, blah, you're stepping on toes, everything else. I'm like, man, oh, whatever.
yeah.
I was a squad leader in the army. I led people. I saw problems. I fixed them. Things like that. That's what I
Yeah.
do, right?
Yeah.
And so all of these things kind of cultivated into this event that I was like, I need to do my own thing. I don't know in what,
Right.
but I need to do my own thing. I was retired, so I took 6 months off to figure that out and build it, whatever it was.
Right.
And the idea kind of happened. My brother was telling me all the time. Man, he's like, why are you not starting your own company? He kept saying it. I'm like, I don't know, whatever. So it was always in the back of my mind. And then I finally just decided to pull the trigger on it. And I got with the USO Pathfinders and the Wounded Warrior Project. I had career counselors. I was talking to all these different people. And oddly enough, and kind of hilarious, they were like, you need to be a real estate agent. I was like, no. I was like, heck no. I'm not. No, I don't have any interest in that. I don't want to be in a sales position. They're like, well, it's not a typical sales position. It's construction. I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. But that conversation then led to home inspecting. And they're like, well, what about this? And I was like, And I had two buddies that used to do it in Nashville and Clarksville and got out and did other things, started their own companies, called them, talked to them. And then I analyzed the industry and the market in Clarksville and realized there was not a single legitimate home inspection company in Clarksville. It was all side gig, one-man, two-man shows. Most of them were 60-plus years old, stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's just Clarksville was going through so much change.
Right.
And Clarksville's growing and all these new companies coming in. And now we've got this age of technology and all these things happening. So it was ready for it.
Right.
So there was the opportunity. There's everybody's problem. And then Clarksville growing, there was a lot there. And I was like, well, that's the answer right there. I don't care what I have to do, what I got to learn, whatever. That's what I'm going to do. Built the company, took 6 months to develop it, design it. I called companies from Seattle to Miami and everywhere in between, lenders, home inspectors, agents, brokers, everybody. And I was like, what do you like? What don't you like? What do you want to see different? Asked a bunch of questions, got a bunch of information, designed the company around that, and just kicked it off. I didn't pay attention to the competition. I didn't look what other people were doing. I was just like, let's do what is the best and what everybody wants.
Right. Smart.
Didn't know that I was doing something completely different. I thought it'd be different a little bit, but I thought it'd be it's so different. And I didn't realize that, and that's why Journey took off and why people like it so much. But yeah, I don't like home inspecting. I feel like, and it goes, and I tell everybody this, I feel bad for people always like, well, I have to like what I'm doing. I have to like what I'm doing. And I'm like, if you find something that you like and you can be good at and make a lot of money doing it, do it. That's great. You're blessed.
Exactly.
Most people are not going to find that. They're not. And it's this false narrative that's been sold. I don't know if I'm aware, but you have to find something that, with your skills and your attributes as a human being, as a person, the way your brain works, figure out what you're good at, find something that's tailored to that, make tons of money doing it. And then once you get done making tons of money and being super successful, even if you didn't enjoy the ride as much, find your joy in where it's taking you and watching you get closer to that finish line. And then once you get there, hit all your passion projects and all this other stuff, because now you got money to do it all. And so that was the whole goal with the home inspecting thing, and just building a company out of it to fit the need that Clarksville had and make enough money to then go do the things that I want to do. So
no, dude, and I think you really killed it, man. Like, I remember when you first came to Castle Rock, and I was like, I don't know who this dude is, but he's funny as shit. And he's cool, man. Like, he was cool. I was like, all right, I like, this is my kind of people. Like, I'm cool. Like, I consider myself like the unconventional loan officer, right? Like, I will dress up in, blazer, button down shirt occasionally if I have to. But for the most part, man, I'm in like jeans, polo,
Bulldog stuff.
Oh yeah. 24/7, man. 24/7. But it's just like, but that's just because I really mirror the people I work with, because that's how I am, right? I'm not a big person into, again, dressing to the nines. Again, I will if I have to, but again, it's not my forte, right? So when I saw you roll up, I'm like, who the hell is this dude? And I was like, but he's like, oh yeah, we'll throw in a Yeti cooler. Oh yeah, we got this. I was like, all right, well, this guy's just swinging for the fucking fences, but it's cool, man. And and you were just talking about, and I remember you talking about the differences, and then like how you guys were different, and I was like, okay, I can dig that. And I was like, you seem very transparent, and so I was like, sick, cool. And so I think most of the people I work with, man, use you, most of them. So it's good. It's good to see. Like whenever I see a report come through, I was like, all right, sick. Okay, so know that I know it went through Journey. So, and again, it's kind of like putting that approval stamp on there. Like I know it's going to be good, especially coming from you guys. You guys are great. So, um,
Appreciate that. Thank you,
yeah,
bro.
dude. So, I guess from here on, we'll get this wrapped up. But like, so what is like your 5 year plan? Like, if you're, I know you just grew the business and it's taken off, but is your 5 year plan to essentially just kind of micromanage at some point and just step back?
Oh, I'll never micromanage.
Mm,
Um, yeah, I'm a big guy in delegation.
yeah.
I'm bringing in a lot of guys. We put them through a ton of training.
Yep.
And one thing that people say a lot is like, man, from one inspector to the next, at least, on the phone, we're a little bit different. We got different personalities and stuff.
Yeah.
But with our home inspection reports, like you can't really tell the difference. It's very much
Mm,
the same. So, and that was a lot of what that design
yeah.
period was designing something replicable
Yep.
that I could just keep producing with more people and get it out and teach how to communicate, teach follow-up calls, teach all the stuff, and we have scripts and everything else. And so it's very replicable. And then they just put their personalities, plug their personalities into it,
Yep.
and then they can connect with different clients and agents and things like that. So,
Right.
5 year plan, bringing a lot of home inspectors, maybe build a team in Nashville, but I don't really
Damn.
want to go beyond that. We've already started to have a really good presence in Nashville, bigger and faster than I thought. So hopefully have a team there. And that's
Nice.
really as big as I want to get. We'll service Southern Kentucky out of Clarksville, and manage it. And if it becomes a passive thing where I'm just making doing some training meetings and making management calls and doing my own thing on like, because I'd love to get into real estate investing and things like that. Just kind of do those two things. But man, I got no desire to get rich. If it happens on accident, cool.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. I just want comfortability in my
Yeah.
life, and if that means staying here and just managing Journey, and Journey just keeps turning out inspections, doing a great job, awesome. You
Yep.
know, um, I leave it in God's hands
There
and
you
let
go.
Him, make those decisions for me. I just follow His guidance on it. So right now, I'm just pedal to the metal, man, and trying to do the best job I can and get this thing as big as I can and bring in the most people,
Yep.
and just do the best job I can. And I think that if that's your goal, everything else kind of just
It
happens
follows.
by
Yep.
default. So,
Yep. Again, you and I are pretty similar in that aspect, man. And I told Adam this plenty of times. I'm like, look, dude, I don't have to make $1 million. Would it be cool? Sure. But it's not
that's
like
on
it's
accident. I'm not going to complain about
exactly. I like
it.
trust me. Like if they're saying, "Hey, you're on track to make $1 million," like, all right, well, we're gonna rock it out.
That's dope.
Let's see it, right? But no, man, I'm like you. It's all about comfortability, put myself in a very good position to where, again. As we get older, man, like there's a lot of things that we wouldn't really necessarily need to worry about. And I think, they say money's not everything, but it's not everything. But I tell people, I was like, but try to live without it and let
Yeah,
me know how it goes.
exactly. Exactly, man.
It plays a big factor in everybody's life, man. So, so I agree, man. Well, cool, man. So I know you're busy, dude. I know you probably feel great just like I do after our chiropractor appointment yesterday, you know?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It's
Yeah,
good to
yeah,
see you, bro.
yeah.
Bring you a bear hug.
And I was talking to Jake, and I'm like, I was like, James is a funny dude, man. I was like, I I've never heard of shit ticket, and when you came out there and you're like, you guys are out of shit tickets, I'm like, dude, I've never heard of that, but I was like, I like it. Hey, you guys are out of shit tickets, man. I'm like, okay, I like
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I'll say some off the wall stuff, man. I was raised by some sawed off humans. You know what I mean? Like just raw. So I had a bunch of weird people around me, some awesome ones, some weird ones, some characters, stuff like that. So I'll say some off the wall stuff, man. But You know,
I like it, dude. It's funny. It's funny as hell. So,
yeah.
well, cool, man. I'll let you get to it. I appreciate you coming on, man, and
All
we'll
right, brother.
catch
I
up
appreciate
later.
you having me, man.
All
Have a
right,
good
man.
day, brother.
We'll see you.
Every single beef, I had to let it be. Spend a lot of time wasting energy. That ain't make sense to me logically. But I feel way better when I walk in peace. Please don't bring the gossip.